So hello everybody. I'm just doing some final things here, cleaning up. Like, I don't even have my glasses on yet. Ah! I dropped makeup brushes everywhere. I'm attempting to clean them a little bit, which I think I'm failing terribly at. Terribly. So I'm gonna pull up chat so I can see chat. Hey, Noel! I know a couple of my Mythtown people are lurking. And they were enjoying seeing the dog versus hearing her because for years now, things look much cleaner if I don't wear my glasses. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I know. Makeup brushes are just a pain to kind of clean. And makeup is something I have learned as an adult. So I did not know things like you're supposed to, you know, wash your makeup brushes on a regular basis. Because for the longest time I was just using powder to get rid of the shiny. And it's kind of slowly and sometimes explosively grown. Yeah, wash or replace. Yeah, I don't think I've gotten to the point where I'm replacing brushes yet. But all my brushes are rather cheap so far. Oh yeah, no, I don't use sponges at all, ever. I don't like using those beauty blenders. I don't like using beauty blenders, which I know a lot of you don't know what they are, but they're essentially a sponge. And no, I don't share my makeup. I do not share my makeup. I know never to share eye makeup. Hey, Susie. I know never, ever to share eye makeup. I know to toss things if you've had an eye infection. I know some of you find this like really boring. Like, why are you talking about makeup instead of space toilets? The dogs seem to have strong opinions about this. They do. I'm trying to mute as fast as I can. I'm just using a bit of my cellular water on a cotton pad now to try to brush out, or to... I know! You. You. So, hello, Ironheart. Tinker is full of opinions, and she may end up in my lap sooner than she wants to be. And of course, they are both sitting right off screen. So, anybody that's panicking that I'm just kind of doing a quick wash of these, don't panic too hard, because I have two mason jars, one's of clean brushes and one's of, you know, brushes that have been used, and it's looking like I'm gonna wash a handful of brushes again tonight. So usually I try to wash all of them at once, but because it's been one of those couple weeks, that just hasn't been a possibility. So, alright. Hey Gem Doctor, hey Ironheart, hey YYZ, hey Sammy. So now we put the glasses on. Ooh, I don't think Salted Milk has seen my glasses yet, has he? Because I don't think I've posted pictures of myself on social media with my new glasses on. I know. Tinker, you scared away salted milk because you're barking at nothing. You're barking at nothing, Tinkerbell. They're like, but your hand's near the Cheerios. Stop scaring me! I know, right? So here's the glasses, salted milk. Here's the glasses. They're super blue. Super blue. But yeah, for those that haven't, looks like I need to do an even better job of cleaning these. Sammy asked, do astronauts wear makeup? Probably not, and here's why. So, unless it's a cream, a lot of the makeups I use, pressed powders and things of that nature, they actually are particles that come off. If it's a creamy makeup, I can see them wearing it because there wouldn't be issues with dust. And, but that's the only way I could see them doing it, is with creamy makeup. And here's another issue, is that makeup, you know, weighs stuff. And then you also need something to apply it. So there's brushes, which have to be cleaned. There's sponges, which, you know, you can't really reuse. And makeup has, you know, some mass to it. And that's mass that could be something else. So I don't think astronauts wear makeup. That's a good question. They probably wear things like lip balm. I can see lip balm. And lotion. You know, things that don't really have to be removed too much. I know they use wet wipes to clean, so they could possibly be using that to get their makeup off. But no, I don't think they do. I don't think they do. I know in a pinch, lipstick can be used as blush. And there's actually products out there. Things of that nature. Yeah, some cream to stop skin flakes and dust. That would probably just end up being lotion. And I have no idea how astronauts do their skincare. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's even thought to ask. Really. But moisturizing is definitely good. And it is really dry up there, so yeah. Just when AFK to soak some makeup brushes in hot soapy water. Does that work? Because I wash mine by rubbing them over a bar of Castile soap and just rinsing them out. I mean, it seems to do the trick. I worry about all the water getting up into the metal part where all the glue is and all the bristles falling out. Not that my makeup brushes are expensive, but I still worry about that because it's still brushes I'd have to replace. So hey, DPI! Astro YYZ says, I don't know, it's what I've done with my brushes for years. Now we're gonna wait on Paranor to weigh in. Alright. Mick, I love you, but we have to keep this PG. We have to keep it PG. I love you, but we have to keep it PG. So we can talk about that kind of stuff in the Discord. There's an article I sent to Walker that I feel like I should share with, you know, our gaming Discord because I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious. How about the stomach? I know astronauts don't eat a whole lot because the food doesn't taste good and they don't want to use the bathroom. Yeah. Yeah, we can be a little more racy on Discord. So But yeah, I know certain body parts are bigger in space. I will let all of y'all figure that one out. I know astronauts don't eat a whole lot of food because they either don't like how it tastes or they don't want to use the bathroom, because going to the toilet in space is an ordeal. And I know in the shuttle there wasn't a lot of privacy. And as Noel or Hex points out, you can't drink carbonated stuff. They're not supposed to have alcohol, but the Russians get alcohol in what do they call it? Morale packages. It's not labeled as such, so I'm sure the Russians sometimes share. YYZ says congestion in the head also makes food lose taste, so they like spicy stuff. All the fluid in microgravity redistributes in your body, so that would make sense for being kind of congested. Plus you don't have the gravity to kind of help things go down like everybody's used to. So, and Tinker gave up and just laid in her crate. That's okay, Tinker. That's okay. I know they get sick, as in like vomiting, but I'm not sure how that's handled. I don't know if they use like air sickness bags or if that's considered liquid human waste, because liquid human waste and solid human waste are treated differently in the with the toilets. So I don't know. I imagine that it's, yeah. And hey Astroby, and Weekly Space Hangout, they had one of the doctors that studied the Kelly twins for the twin study. And oops, it's okay, nobody's knocking at the door, no need to freak out. And the astronaut that was up took, like, as Paranor said, like 9 months before his body felt mostly normal. So it's a huge adjustment, and it's really hard on your body to go, you know, to be in microgravity and then come back down to gravity. So I have not read Scott Kelly's book. Okay, Guido. Hey, Dr. Pamela. Guido's like, I'm making dinner. I don't want to talk about bodily functions while I'm making dinner. I have a small paradox. So shh. So Scott Kelly's the one that went to space, right? The one that's married to Giffords is the one that came and spoke at YSU. I guess they both came and spoke. But the Kelly twin that's married to Gifford spoke at our planetarium in front of a bunch of people. So Mark Kelly. Okay. So Mark Kelly spoke it at our planetarium, and I got to shake his hand and things of that nature. And then they had a ticketed event later on campus that night. So, and yeah, I know both Kelly brothers went to space. They've just been there at different times. So I met Mark Kelly and shook his hand. My paradox is that I was at AAS in Seattle with Dr. Pat Durrell and Favorite Human, and we're on an escalator, and I see one of the Kelly twins. I don't know if I saw Scott Kelly or Mark Kelly because I couldn't see the name badge, and they both don't have hair. So I have either been or not been in the same room as both of the Kelly twins simultaneously. So yeah, that's my paradox. So I have been in the room with at least one of them, possibly both of them. And he's actually not the first astronaut I've met. I have met, I don't know. I really don't. I don't remember who had a mustache or not. But yeah, Mark Kelly's not the first astronaut I met. I've met a couple others thanks to the previous planetarium engineer at Ward Beecher Planetarium, who has since passed away. And his name is escaping me at a minute. Oh, Rick Perko. He probably had a part in with Alan Bean's artwork being at the museum. There's an astronaut that did his undergraduate physics degree at Youngstown State who has sadly passed away, and there was a NASA kind of thing that pulled up like 10 or so years ago that couple astronauts came and met the kids at a local charter school, and I think we sat at the same, I either talked to them, shook their hands, or we may have actually sat at the same lunch table as them. So yeah, I've apparently met way more astronauts than I can remember, but I know Mark Kelly's not the first one I've met. So, like, I'm still not sure if I've met Alan Bean or not. And this is what sucks about my memory. All right. So yeah, I don't remember I don't remember if the twin I saw in Seattle had a mustache or not. I just remember being, oh, it's an astronaut, and pointing it out to Favorite Human. So, see, now I'm hungry. He's talked about food. Okay, so it's 1:04 for me. I'm gonna see who all's here, because I know we're missing people. We're always missing people. Not everybody totally makes it. So we're gonna take a minute to talk about Bennu. And we'll talk more about Bennu at the end. So Bennu Mappers was released yesterday. There are 468 or 86 images. There's over 450 images that need marked. And it's a lot of images. And we need to mark them, or as many as we can, in, before July 10th to help OSIRIS-REx find a safe landing spot. So, as Dr. Pamela points out, there's going to be 4,500 more images that are going to be uploaded. How soon are they going to be uploaded? Like within the next week or so? Hey, Lady Pembroke. Hey, Twister. That's just mind-blowing. Right now there's over 450 images. Apparently Karina, who we spoke with yesterday, is working on getting those 4,500 images uploaded. And yeah, we need to mark them. A lot of them. We were not expecting Bennu to be so rocky. We weren't. In fact, Favorite Human says we need to read more comic books, because this did not surprise him at all. He's like, y'all read comic books? Like, there's stuff in comic books about this. But we were not expecting Bennu to be so rocky. We were expecting it to be kind of smooth, or at least have a decent amount of smooth area. And the trick is finding a smooth spot without a whole lot of debris, where the spacecraft can essentially do a touch and go maneuver, collect some material, and move on with life. And it can only do this 3 times. It can touch and go, but it can't release the air canister, which is how things get collected inside, because they only have 3 air canisters. So yeah, the tutorial does not prepare you for the actual pictures. It does not. The actual pictures, and I'll show you one later in the broadcast, are full of rocks and boulders. Do what you can. I think Dr. Pamela said that it takes her 5 minutes to completely mark an image. Do what you can. We need everybody's help with this. If you find something, you will get credit for it. So register, do what you can. That first image after the tutorial apparently is just a sacrificial image. Don't worry about it not going through. And if it takes 5 or 10 seconds after you click image done for anything to happen, that's okay. Astro B says, being rocky and rough makes sense as there is no geological action to smooth things out, and space has lots of junk that is bigger than sand. Yeah, the way that I've understand it is that Bennu is just rocks all the way through. It is just a debris pile orbiting in space, and rocks come off and float and land, and it's wild. It's wild. It just blows my mind. And again, favorite humans like, y'all need to read more comic books. So, and yeah, DPI says it takes them half an hour to mark one image, and that's fine. If you do one image a day, that's one more image that's done. I think I was doing images yesterday where I was like, F it, I'm just marking boulders. And if that's what you do, that's what you do. It's okay. Yeah, Fenring, we've been waiting for you. We've been waiting for you. So far, Pamela says, so far, folks have marked more than 300,000 rocks. So, yeah. Landers need to have an ATV level suspension. Yeah, you'd think. Oops Serve says, maybe this is an opportunity for some machine learning. Here's the thing with machine learning. Machines are terrible at pattern recognition. Humans are great at it. And normally, yeah, we'd pay undergrad students to do this kind of work, but it's summer vacation. They're not on campus. And they're not going to be on campus. We can't even wrangle high schoolers into it because they're, again, not going to be at school. So we need to do all of this so we can train the machines what to look for. Because I guarantee you right now, if we were to release an algorithm on this for a computer to do it, it would mark boulders as rocks. So we need to teach the computer. Yeah. Fenring says, why do you let them roam free? How are they allowed to leave the premises? You know, they have homes. Resmet says, I apologize to Starstrider about this last night. How I said that the patterns are drawn in this process look like something out of the I Ching? Dao Ching? Oopser says, this sounds interesting. Is there anywhere I can read about these rocks images? I just came in. I'm lost. Well, thankfully for you, we have not even started the news portion yet, and we're going to talk about Bennu more after the news portion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the rocket video once or twice. That'll give me time to go get some water and dock the lapdog, and then we will roll right into the news. After the news, I will answer your questions, and after your questions, you know, we'll do some Bennu mapping. We can talk more about Bennu. Starstrider says also to check out her Twitter feed, which is literally Starstrider. I think she posted a thread. She did post a thread explaining about Bennu, and Susie just linked the blog post. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there, but yeah. I was just confused last night because it wasn't in normal thread form. But it was all there. It just wasn't how Twitter's like, this is one thread. But yeah, so I'm gonna kill the music, and then I'm gonna run the video, and I'm gonna dock the lapdog. No, there's no documentation on the lapdog docking process, but she's pretty nearby, so I shouldn't have to chase her around too much. Oh, Mick, check this out, Mick. Hey, Puck, speak. Puck, speak. Come on. Come on. All right. Puck says thank you. I say thank you. Here's the Cheerios. Oh, you're even sitting. How adorable. And make it And we're gonna make it sprinkle for Tinkerbell, who is off camera and has been fighting. Apparently, lapdog docking is on page 18.7, subsection 666. Oh my. Oh my. And apparently one of my neighbors is deciding to mow their lawn or something. So if you guys can hear that, I apologize. But yeah, I'm gonna roll that video. And then we'll be back and start the thing and do all of the stuff as soon as I find it. Where is it? There it is. All right. So I'll see you on the other side. Hello and welcome to Daily Space for today, May 23rd, 2019. I'm your host, Annie Wilson. Dr. Pamela is still feeling ill. However, she is in chat. And please at both of us with your questions so we can see them easier and answer them quicker. Because I know enough astronomy to be dangerous, and Dr. Pamela is the actual astronomer. So, there we go. There's all of that, and we have two news stories, and then we're going to talk about Bennu. So let's do this. So first up is Mars. This is a picture of Mars. Well, this image is an exaggerated view of Mars' north polar cap. So if all that white stuff you see is ice, and if all of that ice melted, it would be enough water to cover the surface of Mars in about 5 feet, or 15.25. That seems really large. Anyways, ignore my metric because I don't think that's right. It would be enough to cover the surface of Mars in about 5 feet of water. I don't trust my definition of the metric units there. So the ice expands into the sand to a depth of a mile, according to 2 new research studies. One study used a shallow radar instrument on NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. A matching study looked at the gravity data instead. So these amazing layers of mixed water and sand have built up during multiple glacier periods on Mars. And according to the AGU press release, over periods of about 50,000 years, Mars, all of 50,000 years for all of these layers to build up. And Mars leans towards the sun before gradually returning to an upright position like a wobbling, spinning top. So if, making sure the lapdog doesn't jump. So if this was the sun and this was Mars, the top being north, the bottom being south, it leans towards the sun and then leans back. So as it leans towards the sun, or wibble wobbles, the polar caps get sizey-wimey, or put another way, they grow and shrink depending on the tilt or lack of tilt of Mars. So if it's pointed more towards the sun, things are going to melt. If the North Pole is pointed away from the sun, things are going to freeze. So what is new with the study is realizing that a whole lot of ice remained under the planet's surface, even though we are in a reasonably small ice cap time. So like with an iceberg, what you see is just a small amount of there. We are literally only seeing the very top of all of the ice that's mixed in with the sand through the layers. And here is a composite image showing the alternate layers of ice and sand in an area where they're exposed on the surface of Mars. This photo was taken with the HiRISE camera aboard the same NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. Well, and it's been adjusted to show the water ice as light colored layers and the sand is darker layers of blue. So the light colored layers is the frozen water ice, and the darker layers are the sand, and you can see how they're pretty much in layers, like a layer cake. You know, you have your water, and your sand, and your water, and your sand, so it would be like cake, icing, cake, icing. The tiny bright white flecks are thin patches of frost, so that's, again, just frozen water. And it's amazing to understand that each of these layers formed in a different age of glaciers, and by understanding the extent of these buried layers, we have roughly doubled the amount of water we know is on Mars. So yeah, we knew there was water on Mars, and now we know there's a whole lot more water on Mars, and it's in layers, which is why we couldn't see all of it at the same time. So now, we're going to move on to something completely different. So before we talk about our next story, I figured it would be helpful to review exactly how much light can be seen in the deep ocean. And hey, I know it's kind of confusing, and if you just wait, if you wait, I'll get there. Well, here, have some Cheerios. So this graphic is from NOAA, and the top layer shows the sunlight zone. That's where, if you were to go snorkeling or scuba diving and so on, that's where a whole lot of light comes through. The layer in between is considered the twilight zone, where some sunlight gets through. And underneath all of that, underneath 1,000 meters, is no water gets through. It's essentially considered the midnight zone, and it's really, really dark. That's where you see things like giant squid, colossal squid, fish with like phosphorescence. Hey, I know, I'm getting there. Also, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of water pressure, so I don't think we can physically dive without protection that deep. We normally take like submarines to this deep. So that we're talking deep. All right, so now that we've all clarified that beyond 1,000 meters, light just isn't a thing, now we can talk about this next story. So this picture is a little confusing because it makes it seem like this thing, and we'll get to what this thing is in a second, is in a shallow part of the ocean where sunlight penetrates. That's not the case. It's not in the shallows. It's 3,500 meters below the surface of the ocean, where, as we previously discussed, it is really, really dark. So, what is this thing? This thing that looks like a spider web of spherical instruments is actually a telescope. Yes, it's a telescope. Scientists are putting telescopes where telescopes have purposefully gone before. Yes, we've put telescopes underwater. Why do we put telescopes underwater? Hold on, we'll get there. So, yeah, these aren't normal telescopes, as you may have guessed. These are neutrino detectors, and their weirdo location is on the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. So these are going to be located at 2 sites at depths of the 3,500 meters. The Kilo Mark III November Echo Tango or KM3net telescope will occupy more than a cubic kilometer of water and will be made of hundreds of detection lines anchored to the seabed and suspended with buoys. The scientific spiderweb is pointed at the sea floor and is looking for the faint flickers of light that get created when a neutrino interacts with water. And that's why they're so deep. They don't want false readings from sunlight penetrating through the water. They want this to be in complete darkness. So when neutrinos do hit water and do create those tiny little specks of light, they can be picked up by these sensors. And we talked about how this illustration makes it seem like sunlight shines really bright at this depth, but that's not the case. It's really, really dark at this depth. According to the team scientist, Dr. Clancy James of Curtin Institute, each of these lines are going to have 18 modules equipped with light sensors along its length, and in the darkness of the deep ocean, these sensors register the faint flashes of a special light that signals the interaction of neutrinos with the seawater. This telescope, KM3net, is not built yet. We're not sure what's going to be done to protect the fish and anything else that might be down there from getting mixed up in the telescope and these lines, and it's unclear what will protect the telescope from things falling down from the surface. But it is an interesting telescope that could very soon be down under the sea. And yeah, things could potentially fall on it like dead whales. Just in case people weren't aware that, things from higher up do float all the way to the bottom eventually, and it could hit these instruments. And also, some of the fish that are down that deep are kind of big. I shouldn't say fish. I should say creatures, because squid aren't technically fish. Anyways, so that's our two stories. And now, for our third, but, Bennu-related thing, and we'll talk more about Bennu after the questions. Bennu Mappers was released yesterday, and it's over 450 images. There's going to be another 4,500 images released soon, as Karina Bennett from the OSIRIS-REx team is done preparing them. And we need your help. We really need your help. There are so many rocks, and we need your help to keep OSIRIS-REx safe. We need your help to collect data to do science, and it's a lot. I know it's a lot. These images look like petri dishes by the time you're done marking them, and it can take anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes to mark one image. So if you can mark one image a day, that's awesome. If you want your markings to count towards finding a safe location for OSIRIS-REx to gather samples, we need to get that done before July 10th. So the more people we can get doing this, even if it's just an image a day, the better. Machines can't do this. Machines are terrible at pattern recognition. Humans have a superpower, and that superpower is pattern recognition. So we need you and your, awesome human brains to essentially just help us do science and help keep OSIRIS-REx safe, because machines can't do this job. And this is an image of, the image processing software, Bennu, that asteroid that we're collecting data from and marking all these rocks on, is literally rocks on boulders near more rocks with some craters. There are rocks on rocks on rocks. There are boulders on rocks and rocks on boulders. It is wild. It is wild. And we need to map it all. All of it. It's a lot. I know. It's really, really a lot. But we can do this together. Alright, so now I'm going to flip back and we're going to read all of your questions and try to answer them as best we can. So, Yeah, a Star Strider says in another window right now, please mark some rocks. Mark some images. See, both of us are there also rocks? There are also rocks. I've only found a couple craters. The craters are rare. They're rare. And if you do find a crater, you need to mark in that crater area all of the rocks and boulders that are in the crater before you use the crater tool. It's weird, I know. I'm not a fan. I don't know if that can be fixed. But mark all the craters you can. And right now I'm scrolling up. Scrolling up, and yeah. Almost 2 meters. Yeah, for whatever reason, I had like 15 meters or whatever on the slide. It didn't sound right. Yeah, I could see that you wrote, you know, timey-wimey, so on and so forth, just to see if I would laugh. Oh my. So thanks for the follow, Rockstars. And now that I have the dog up, we can properly throw Cheerios at the dog. Hey, Puck, can you speak? Come on, speak. Woof. All right, Puck says thank you. I say thank you. Here's the Cheerios. And make it rain. And I have to hold the lapdog back. All right, and Tinker just gets to eat them out of my hand. The wobble that makes the seasons, indeed, and that it does indeed cause the seasons here on Earth. And yeah. Oh, I saw some cheers. All right, so Puck. He's still sniffing, so we're just gonna throw the Cheerios at Puck and make it rain. He's like, but what's happening? And then a handful for Tinker. String Theory says, neutrinos aren't EM. That was a little confusing. Neutrinos are a particle, and they are a teeny tiny particle with mass. They are indeed the smallest bit of matter, and they have a neutral charge. So thank you, chat, for that. A boson is not matter. Higgs are actually more massive than neutrinos, which is why it's so hard to detect. It's a lot. Some of these are beyond me. Oh, I see. Trekker says, find any Cheerios on Bennu? Not yet. Yeah, most of the rocks are going to look like other rocks. There is a gargoyle rock that they've put on their Twitter that they liked. But it's a lot of boulders and a lot of rocks. And it's rocks on boulders and boulders on rocks. And some of these rocks and boulders are literally ejected from Bennu, and sometimes they keep orbiting Bennu, like if it were a moon or a satellite, and sometimes they land back down on Bennu, so they just kind of do a little, short little flight, and sometimes they're just kind of ejected off far away, and they're not ejected off quickly. About the speed of a softball is how it was described to me yesterday. So yeah, Larry says rocks gotta pay the rent. For real. So yeah, that's Bennu. It's a lot of rocks, and we need to map it all. Okay, any other questions? I know today was kind of short, probably because some of us are going to go and mark things together. Refsmat says, I'm hearing that the contract for construction of the first element of the Lunar Gateway Station, the power and propulsion element, has been awarded to SSL, which has the same parent company as Canadarm. Well, that's cool. I know literally nothing about the Lunar Gateway Station, other than I know they want to put it on the South Pole, where there's hydrogen. Well, there's water ice, which means there's hydrogen, which we can use as rocket fuel. Because yay! Starstrider says it's on Twitter right now. It's not entirely clear at this point. Restmat says, was there a chat about the Chinese launch? That's what I meant to do. So there was a Chinese launch yesterday, and from what Restmat shared with me on Discord, it did not go well at all. I haven't found any media of it at all. Oh, the Lunar Gateway Station floats in orbit. See, this is how little I know about the Lunar Gateway Station. So the moon is going to have a space station. Okay. Canadarm is contracted. Contract is a different place than Canadarm, which is from Canada. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that essentially the moon was going to have its own space station. Do we have satellites around the moon? I feel like... Yeah, we have satellites around the moon. Duh. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to find where Berry Sheet landed. I felt really... Yeah, LRO, Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. I just felt really kind of... I guess dumb for a moment. I'm like, of course there's satellites. We have satellites around Mars. SLS takes the Orion to the Gateway, then people transfer to the blue ball and land on the moon. That's the plan. That's the plan. Paranor says, brain farts happen, Bennu farts rocks. It does indeed. It does indeed. Yeah. But zombies are fun to feed. Okay, so I'm not seeing a whole lot of other questions. I guess that means I explained everything, or, you know, chat explained everything. So we're gonna do the whole round things up thing. And I'm probably going to get lunch. There is a launch tonight. That launch is supposed to be, unless it's been delayed already, which... The launch that's supposed to happen tonight is for SpaceX. And it's been scrubbed twice. And if it gets scrubbed a third time, I don't know. Because we've streamed for every scrub. It is an important launch. They're going to fling these satellites off of, you know, their housing in the fairing by just literally spinning the payload. It's crazy. Yeah, it's a really early launch for some people. For others like me, it's at 10:30, so that's like 9 hours from now. And yeah, so I need to make sure I eat and get ready again and do all those other things. But yeah, and we'll have bingo, and if I can, so far so good. My source is still listed as a go. That's awesome. Larry says better scrub than a ball of toxic fire. String Theory says thruster spin. I'm not sure how they're going to spin the payload, but they plan on deploying the satellites that are flat packed like a deck of cards on the payload, and they're just going to spin it and fling these satellites off and away from each other, and then once they're away from each other, they're going to steer them into their orbits. It's weird. Restmat says, I remembered again that the RadarSat constellation by SpaceX still hasn't happened. This is the knock-on effect that now happens to the supply chain when one of SpaceX's rockets doesn't land safely. Indeed. Indeed. The carrier does indeed have thrusters. Thank you, Larry. So yeah, that to me that's just still wild that they're just going to spin it and these satellites are going to go everywhere. Like, okay, this is how we plan on doing this. This is why, you know, Elon has said things are going to possibly fail. But yeah, I will be back on no later than 9 p.m. Eastern. That's 6 p.m. West Coast. And that's going to be, what, 1 o'clock next day UTC. So I will be on no later than that. And we'll set up bingo. We may mark things on Bennu because we need to be marking things on Bennu. If I start early enough, there's also the possibility of playing video games. And I could potentially get Favorite Human to chat about, you know, why we all need to read more comic books and how it relates to Bennu, because that was an interesting conversation he and I had this morning. So, but yeah, I think that's all. So I'm going to do the wall of text, and then we're going to do the credits. I'm going to hopefully not have a dog jump out of my lap. Sammy says Favorite Human is right. He is. He was just like, what do you mean you didn't expect this? You should have expected this. So yeah, we're going to roll the credits, and then we're going to raid somebody. So while I do the wall of text, please suggest somebody to raid. And we're going to start the wall of text. So, this has been a production of CosmoQuest. We do way more than daily space. We do way more than stream. We have Bennu mappers up. You can map the moon. Oh, look at all those bits! And, you know, when happy things happen, like bits, you know, we share that happiness by throwing Cheerios to dogs. So, hey, Puck, speak! Speak! Alright, Puck says thank you. I say thank you. Here's the Cheerios, and make it rain! And now I need a handful for Tinker. So we do stream Sundays through Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Right now that is 1700 hours UTC. Monday through Friday is Daily Space. This, your daily-ish new astronomy and space news roundup. And Sundays is myself, hi, Annie, sorry I'm feeding Cheerios to the dogs, colorizing space telescope data. And no, you cannot have all the Cheerios, Tinker. I know, it's terrible. So our host institution is PSI, that's Planetary Science Institute in Tucson, Arizona, working in collaboration with Youngstown State University here in Youngstown. Yeah, it rained today. This sucks. Ohio. PSI is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation, which is just really fancy speak for your donations are tax deductible where laws allow. Speaking of donations, we are brought to you by you. So thank you for all of your donations, your bits, your subscriptions, your merch purchases, your pledges on Patreon. Thank you for all of that. It allows Pamela to pay me and Susie and a few other people. We really do appreciate it. And if you can't afford any of that stuff, that's okay. Follows are free. Hanging out with us is free, chatting with us is free, joining our Discord is free. Hey, heck, even circling craters on the moon is free, and marking all of the rocks on Bennu is free. So you do not need to pay money to participate. You really don't. And I think that's everything. I am really terrible at the wall of text. So I'm going to scroll now to see if anybody suggested somebody to raid. Oof. And I don't see a suggestion for anybody to raid. So, oh yeah, YouTube. I forgot about YouTube. So we archive everything on YouTube. So if you miss video on demand, check out YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, come check us out on Twitch. You know, the usual. So I checked Brain Bites Discord. for which we're a member of, to see if they had anything going on, and they do not right now. So I see Oh Bother is live, and possibly EJSA with a press conference, if that's still going on. I know, Kat. I know. I know. Who do you want to raid, Kat? Alright, it says EJ is still streaming. I don't know if he's still streaming the press conference. He's still... okay. So we're going to raid EJ after I roll the credits. So yeah, thank you everybody for your patience, and I'm apparently going to go deal with my zoo. Hi. There's only room for one on my lap. So yeah, thanks again everybody. Have a wonderful insert time of day here, be that morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night. And I will see you later today. Until then, be kind, and if the skies allow, look up. So, bye.